The United States is involved again in trying to deal with political events in the Middle East. I shouldn't say again, as always, uh, should I say. We have the so-called Islamic State that covers Iraq and Syria, and I'm not going to make any apologies for them. I think that many, even Muslims, feel that they're kind of like a Khmer Rouge type of regime that even Al-Qaeda disassociated itself from. So that's very extreme. But there's something that we as United States Americans, I think, need to really put in perspective. I will be 41 this December. And this country, the United States government, has been bombing Iraq on a monthly basis every year since I was in high school up until now. I want you to stop and think about this again. The United States government has been bombing in some way Iraq, whether it's from the Gulf War to the no-fly zones that was implemented with the British outside of the UN. Prior to 9/11, and of course, no Iraqis nor the Iraqi government was a part of 9/11, as even George Bush admits. Up until now, I am going to be 41. What kind of people emerge out of nations that are bombed all the time? I mean, let's put it in this perspective. All of our dear brothers, sisters, cousins, sons and daughters, fathers, mothers that are U.S. veterans come back from war, and they've come back from Iraq as Afghanistan and so forth, having to deal with a lot of serious issues like post-traumatic stress disorder. And they deserve all of the love and help and support that they can get. Now just imagine they have this because they went and experienced a war and had to deal with losing loved ones in war and watching the effects of war. Now imagine, though, what the people would be like living in the place where the war is taking place. And this leaves us as Americans in this kind of really surreal vantage point where, for just in this example, Iraqis and U.S. vets are experiencing this war, and the American public, which are hypothetically the representatives of the U.S. government that's implemented the war, see it as something removed from us. It's something over there. But this is a fantasy, and I think that's something that we should really ponder and think about. We were rightly stunned and horrified at 9/11. And this was an attack put on us not even by anyone from Iraq, as I just mentioned. When you're in the middle of a war and you constantly bomb, do not at some point people respond? And how does any nation respond to the most powerful military nation in the world? I'm not going to answer that now, but you know. We need to be asking ourselves, are we making ourselves safer? Are we making a better world? When we know that this ISIL entity emerged out of the very war that we've been a part of, how do you get rid of groups that are actually coming out of wars? I mean, in Afghanistan, it's the longest war in U.S. history. Are we going to be there till we weed out the Taliban? The Taliban in a country where there's caves everywhere, big mountain crevices? It's never going to end. No, it's not going to end. And right now, it's never going to end in Iraq. Unless we, the people, start putting pressure on our government or really pause and think, like, to what end is this going to accomplish anything? I'm not a pacifist. And I'm not naive. I think naivety is and globalness is to trust that the U.S. government really has a game plan that is going to be for the benefit of humanity, when we already saw that George Bush set for this attack on Iraq based on the threat of weapons of mass destruction, which were not there, and that's been proven. And now thousands of U.S. soldiers have had to pay the price, and millions of Iraqis. And we voted for a president to change that, and he did not. Not really. So here we are. I'll be 41 soon. And the bombing has been going on against Iraq since I was in high school. If you look at that time frame, what indicators are there that this will ever stop? But even a more important question is, if this is the case, what will this actually bring us in the future?